At once a tough battle rages in the cold weather. A fierce polar bear determined to take down one of the hunters locks eyes on Kim Chul as its prey. Without hesitation, the bear launches an attack, its massive paw crashing forcefully into Kim Chul's shield. Kim Chul, who had been waiting for this exact moment, braces for the impact. The polar bear roars in pain as its sharp claws scrape against the shield, causing blood to drip from its wounded paw. Kim Chul, clad in his heavy armor, expects this kind of reaction from the monstrous creature. With a swift and precise strike, his weapon slams into the bear's body, instantly neutralizing the threat. The onlookers around him gasp in admiration, applauding their captain's prowess. An A-rank hunter, Kim Chul, had single-handedly taken down the ice bears with ease. The others are impressed, some even joking that they can butcher the bears for a meal. For the moment, everything seems to be going smoothly. Kim Chul, however, warns them not to get too comfortable. He exclaims that they can't afford to relax, not until they have safely exited the forest. Reflecting on the situation, he acknowledges that the group has only managed to handle the monsters because of his leadership and strength. With the rest of the group continuing their trek through the forest, Kim Chul remains vigilant, ever aware of the dangers that still lie ahead. With the same quiet step, the atmosphere remains peaceful, but eventually someone's voice breaks the silence, calling for everyone to stop. It turns out to be the same girl who had been walking alongside Jin-Woo. She urgently declares that they can't proceed any further, it's too dangerous. Jin-Woo, puzzled, doesn't fully understand what she means. The girl continues, explaining that there are markings of ice bears all around them and that this entire forest is within their territory. She stresses that the ice bears are formidable opponents, her voice growing slightly frantic as she insists that they need to turn back before the bears return. Jin-Woo, on the other hand, simply sighs, listening to her with an air of indifference. He interjects, acknowledging that the forest is indeed full of ice bears, but his tone implies he's heard enough. The girl hesitates, sensing her growing unease as she continues trying to urge them to retreat. Jin-Woo, however, firmly responds, saying that the reason they've come into the forest is precisely because of the ice bears. The girl, now in full panic, shrieks, wondering if Jin-Woo really wants to die like this, questioning his recklessness. Jin-Woo, clearly getting frustrated with her yelling, calmly counters that the only thing they need to worry about here is the presence of the ice bears. He argues that fighting the bears makes far more sense than facing ice elves, which would be much more dangerous. The girl, finally catching on to Jin-Woo's logic, begins to understand his point. She realizes that since the forest is full of ice bears, there would be no stronger enemies around, and she acknowledges that she hadn't thought of it that way. She then looks at Jin-Woo, asking, slightly confused, if they're not cold in their current attire. Jin-Woo seems to make a decision to take care of his team, recognizing that they are his responsibility. After all, they are under his leadership. He opens his inventory, revealing a variety of clothes, and hands them to the girl, telling her to put them on. He adds that it wouldn't be pleasant if they all froze to death before even facing any monsters. The girl, holding the clothes in her hands, is stunned, unable to hide her surprise. She wonders if what she's seeing is truly spatial magic. The men around her speculate about whether spatial magic is only for a few specific uses, unaware of who Jin-Woo really is. Even the girl who entered the Red Gate with him is still clueless about his true identity. She asks him seriously, but before she can finish, Jin-Woo reaches out and places his hand on her head, calmly stating that since he got her into this situation, it's his duty to protect her. The girl, embarrassed, watches him as he continues, now dressed in clothes suited for the harsh weather. Jin-Woo tells her not to ask any more questions, effectively silencing her. Then he proceeds to provide warm clothes from his inventory to the rest of the team, instructing them in the same manner. He holds a finger to his lips, looking at them earnestly, and tells them not to ask anything from him or demand anything. Unexpectedly, a ferocious ice bear appears behind the group. Jin-Woo turns around, alerted by the screams of his team. Instantly, panic sets in among them. One of them exclaims that it was foolish to enter such a dangerous forest, especially with high-ranking monsters around. The girl, clearly the most panicked, attempts to draw the bear's attention, but Jin-Woo stops her, his actions cutting through her confusion. He calmly states that he will handle the monster himself. The others protest, claiming it doesn't matter how strong he is, this bear is far too powerful. Jin-Woo, unfazed, quickly gives a command. He can't afford to miss out on the experience that defeating such a monster would grant. The enraged polar bear doesn't wait long to strike. It charges at Jin-Woo, but in an instant it gets caught in the snow. Jin-Woo leaps into the air, covering a great distance and leaving the bear standing still for a brief moment. His gaze burns with intense blue flames, and he thinks about the potential power he could harness by adding tidal effects to his current level. As the bear raises its paw to strike, Jin-Woo braces himself, ready for the confrontation, his mind sharp and focused on defeating the beast. Jin-Woo, the dream hunter, leaps into the air, his body rising effortlessly as if propelled by sheer will. In midair, time seems to slow down, the seconds stretching into eternity. With a powerful swing, he drives his fist into the ferocious bear's head. The impact is immense, knocking the breath out of the beast. The bear staggers back, disoriented, as Jin-Woo hovers for a moment, his focused gaze never leaving his target. All the people near the battle stand frozen in disbelief, their mouths agape as they struggle to comprehend what they've just witnessed. It seems utterly unbelievable. The boy with a single punch had dispatched the mighty ice bear. The group is in shock, unable to process the overwhelming display of power. Jin-Woo, seemingly unfazed, remarks with quiet confidence that as he had suspected, the higher the level of the enemy, the greater the experience he gains. The green-eyed girl, still reeling from the sudden turn of events, stutters as she gathers her thoughts. Clearly unsure of how to react, she hesitates before asking once more, her voice filled with uncertainty, "Who? Who are you really?" The atmosphere grows tense as the group of people stands together, their eyes flicking between each other, all gathered in the same place with the main man at the center. The master breaks the silence, asking what the hunter wants from them. The hunter's response is casual, almost dismissive. He has no specific agenda, he just wants to have fun. The master, not satisfied with this vague answer, states that regardless of his goals, they will not be able to enter the Red Gate. He warns that the environments inside could vary drastically, from jungles teeming with dangerous creatures to hostile enemies. The master believes that many of the hunters will die in such a place, though some may survive. Yet the man standing before the Red Gate remains unfazed. A confident smile spreads across his face as he responds that he too is eager to find out what lies behind the gate. He stands resolutely in front of the closed Red Gate, his determination clear. He knows this situation is problematic, but he is unwilling to wait idly for the gate to open. The other man, observing this, reflects on Jin-Woo's remarkable luck. After all, it's a Red Gate, and even someone like Hwang Dong-soo won't be able to influence what happens next, no matter how hard he might try. He then ponders the possibilities. If Jin-Woo manages to survive whatever awaits behind that gate, he will truly be a lucky man. As a group of people gathered around the campfire roasting meat, they each offered their opinions on the taste of the ice bear meat. For some it was tough, for others it was surprisingly delicious. Despite the varied opinions, the atmosphere remained friendly, with everyone doing their best to enjoy the moment. The girl turned to her brother and asked about Jinna. He responded casually, saying that she was just like her, someone who enjoyed playing at home and taking naps, a regular sleepyhead. The girl seemed skeptical, not quite believing it considering how well Jinna managed to maintain her marks. The boy, shrugging, admitted he didn't really understand it himself, especially since they had spent much of their childhood visiting arcades together. Meanwhile, the man addressed Huntress Park Hee-jin, commenting on how scarce the ice bears seemed to have become. She, with admiration in her tone, credited their captain for the success, still reminiscing about the battle. The girl, momentarily distracted from her conversation with the man, turned to Jin-Woo and asked where he was going. He replied that he had already eaten and now needed to stretch. She asked another question, wondering if he would really warm up here, to which Jin-Woo replied with a grin that if he didn't, he'd be punished. The group gathered around the campfire exchanged confused looks, unable to understand the high-ranking hunter in front of them. Despite their confusion, they couldn't help but agree on one thing: this boy was definitely strange. Distant from the rest of his team, the boy hung his head down on a branch, relaxedly exhaling. As he sat there, he realized that he couldn't leave his team alone in this dangerous place. He had to stay alert and make sure he completed all his necessary tasks on time. After spending some time stretching himself on the branch, he finally declared that he was ready. The hunt awaiting him in this place was about to begin, and he was prepared to face whatever challenges came next. Jin-Woo notices a large group of red-eyed, ferocious ice bears nearby, each one waiting for prey. He stands alone facing this swarm of embittered bears, yet he remains calm. He assesses the situation, asking if there are more of these creatures or if this is all. Unfazed by the danger, he gives the command in a serious voice, "Get out," waiting for a reaction. As his words echo through the cold air, a large dark shadow begins to form behind him, enveloping the area in an eerie aura of mystery and danger. Black magical shadows rise from the ground, swirling around him as they seem to worship their shadow lord and respond to his every command. Jin-Woo addresses them, saying that this is their first mission, and it must go smoothly and as interestingly as possible. His subordinates, now fully focused on his orders, wait for his command. Jin-Woo crouches down, his face nearly hidden beneath his hood, with one eye glowing fiercely with blue light. Behind him, the huge shadows continue to loom, ready to follow his every order. The boy commands his shadows to deal with all the ice monsters in front of him.